Thank you for listening to English with Monty. For bonus episodes, to test your English grammar, book a free 30-minute trial lesson, or to access our conversation group in London, go to linktree/English with Monty, linktr.ee/English with Monty. Today we're talking about Shakespeare idioms that we still use today. Hello there and welcome to English with Monty. Moving on to episode number 57, I have the man of the moment. Well, every moment. It's Gideon. Hi, Gideon.
Good cheer, John.
Good cheer, my good man. Am I supposed to respond that way?
It's more of like a Shakespearean greeting because I know you told me something.
We're going to do stuff about Shakespeare, aren't we?
Stuff about Shakespeare.
Well, you kind of saved the episode, haven't you? Because we're going to do idiomatic expressions, aren't we? I was taking it down another route, more kind of phrases and stuff, but you've saved the episode. I suppose we're going to talk about the background a little bit, aren't we, of each of the phrases and why they're used. And of course, we use them in modern day English as well, don't we?
Yeah, I think the ones we have, you've given me a list. We give a shout out to Kaplan Languages because they have on their websites 10 idioms that come from Shakespeare and the actual quote. And these are really common, everyday English that we use in our language all the time, that all native speakers will be familiar with. Most of them, I can't speak for all of them. So yeah, I think they're great idioms. You can use them in different situations.
There's actually 9, apparently. Anyway,
sorry.
That doesn't matter too much. I suppose
Okay.
9, maybe seems like a better number. 10's a bit boring, maybe. I don't know. Yes, they're things that we would use. And I think it's nice to talk about those origins, isn't it, really, to understand where they came from, where the actual quote came from, and what the context was, and how we use it contextually now. I suppose it's probably more or less the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
First of all, Gideon, you have a heart of gold.
So I'll try and define it
Mm-hmm.
and then give the actual quote from Shakespeare. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So heart of gold means that inside you're a wonderful person. John may be angry, mean and aggressive and shouting at me all the time, but I know inside he's kind and a wonderful person. Very deep inside. You have to look deeply, but yeah, he's there.
I just shouted at you just before this episode.
Yeah.
To get you into line.
Do you want to read the Shakespeare quote? It comes from Henry V. Do you want to read it, John?
I will, yes. The king's a boarcock and a heart of gold, a lad of life, an imp of fame, of parents good, of fist most valiant.
Nice. Don't ask me what a boarcock is. I'm afraid I don't know. The imp is like the devil, isn't it? Imp of fame. Is that right?
I don't know. Is it? That's kind of mischievous, isn't it?
Yeah, mischievous. Yeah.
Boarcock, maybe it's just like an
Boarcock.
oath or something. Maybe it's an old-fashioned expression to suggest that somebody is a bit uncouth, like as in not very refined.
Well, I've just Googled it.
Okay.
Archaic. That's why we didn't know it. So we have been reading enough Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
A fine fellow.
A fine fellow.
Yeah.
Who
Stop
would've-
using it. Oh, you're such a boarcock. Don't rude. Oh, you're such a bullcock, John. John's such a bullcock.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? That it's actually positive because we automatically assumed it was negative. I guess
Exactly. It sounded negative, didn't it?
it does because, like, bore could be somebody who's kind of lazy, I suppose.
Yes, spelt Bawcock. Yeah, bullcock. If you want to use it. I don't understand you, but go ahead.
It's a new word to us, isn't it? And cock can often be, an unpleasant expression for somebody, can't it? To be an unpleasant person.
Yeah, exactly.
Of a man, isn't it? Of course, for obvious reasons.
Mm.
Gideon always tries his best. He has a heart of gold.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you want to go with the next one?
The next one is to kill somebody with kindness. And John, over to you.
I mean, I suppose there's a little bit of doubt on this one, isn't it? Because here it says this phrase means that you will get what you want by being very kind to another person. I'm not sure if that's 100% correct, is it? I don't know. To me, like, if you kill somebody with kindness, it's almost like it's overwhelming, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily mean they want something out of you.
I think it can be quite negative. You kill them with kindness. So if I'm just being super nice and just overly kind and buying you, John, lots of presents,
I'm happy for you to do that, by the way.
if
Even if it's not what you want to do.
it's not what you want. So I know you're a recovering alcoholic. I'll go around with a couple of bottles of gin. It's just going to a cocktail bar, inviting them for cocktails.
Yeah, you're not supposed to tell everybody about that.
That's how I would say it. I'm not sure about the definition here. Maybe Shakespeare used it differently. Let's see. Let's get the quote from Shakespeare. It's from The Taming of the Shrew. This is a way to kill a wife with kindness, and thus I'll curb her mad and headstrong humor. So maybe it's more positive. It means that you're going to get your way with the woman because you're being super kind. Yeah, Taming of the Shrew. Or maybe it's been used
Yeah.
differently. Maybe it's just the meaning's changed a bit.
We do use curb, don't we? And we do use headstrong, but I suppose headstrong is probably a more formal word, isn't it? Can you explain either of those two?
Headstrong means really determined. I'm very headstrong in my beliefs that I'm going to do it no matter what. You agree with that?
Yeah. Does it mean being stubborn as well or not?
Could be, yeah, also.
I think your definition was more correct. I mean, I suppose there is an element of being stubborn, isn't there? Depending,
Yeah,
but it's something that you really believe in, isn't it? If you're headstrong and you go with it.
yeah. I think to curb means in this context, it means like to stop, to put an end to it.
Reduce
Ah,
it, isn't it, in some
yeah,
way?
exactly. Reduce, trying to curb your stupidity.
So curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example. That TV show, great, fantastic show. It just come to an end. Don't be so enthusiastic. You
Kind of,
think it's going to be great, but yeah, well, we'll see.
it's just like toning it down, isn't it, really?
Exactly. But it's
Yeah,
quite an ironic statement.
very much so. We've spoken about this one before, laughing stock. I think we spoke about it briefly, didn't we, on one of the literary episodes?
Yeah.
So this one is from The Merry Wives of Windsor. Pray you tell us not be laughing stocks to other men's humours. I desire you in friendship, and I will one way or other make you amends.
The term laughing stock, it can be best defined with examples. If I'm walking down the street, should I say I or you, John? John's walking down the street. Let's say
Why
John.
is it about me? This is not fair.
And then he forgot to wear a belt and he's in Oxford Street and his trousers falls down and he's wearing these Hello Kitty boxer shorts. And he may tell the story, says, well, John became a laughing stock. Everyone was laughing him in the middle of the street.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my Hello Kitty boxer shorts, and even if people are laughing at me, I wear them with pride.
Exactly. Fair enough. So if you do something that makes other people laugh at you in a kind of humiliating way, then a laughing stock. Not a
Probably the
good
best.
thing.
Not a good thing. I think this is the best way of looking at it, though. Like, because it was from the medieval tradition, wasn't it, when people got put in the stocks? So if people are not familiar with that idea, I don't know if it's a uniquely, it would be a universal thing. Like, it's not just in Britain, is it? They would have had stocks.
Stocks, those things you were put in the street, if you did something wrong, it was around your hands or around your hands, your neck. I'm not sure which part of the body. I think maybe both. And then passers-by could come and throw tomatoes. Well, no, that maybe tomatoes hadn't been discovered because Columbus hadn't been to America. They would throw turnips at you and rotten eggs at you in the street. So you were a laughing stock. So that's the origin.
I think it would go around your wrists, would it? And around your neck. So you couldn't pull your hands out and your head out. Is that right?
Yeah,
I think it
it
was
could
like
be,
that.
yeah.
Would that have been a British thing?
No,
Or
I
was
think
everywhere had that?
a little bit everywhere.
It was a common idea, yeah. So
Yeah.
it's if somebody had done something wrong, right? So maybe, I don't know, he'd stolen a chicken and he was caught. It's kind of a punishment, isn't it,
Yeah.
really?
They
Yeah,
should bring
so
it back.
absolutely. Maybe for some of our politicians.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a look at the next one?
It's a very common one, a wild goose chase. A wild goose chase is when you're searching for something and you're passed on from place to place and some simple thing that you're trying to get turns out to take hours or days or you never get it at all. I'm trying to think of an example of a wild goose chase. You're looking for somebody, Well, I think she's on the third floor, and you go to the third floor. Oh, no, no, no. She's just gone out for lunch. She's at Casey's Cafe. You go to Casey's Cafe, and she's not there. And then you go back, oh, where is she? And then you realize that she's sick and she was at home all the time. So you sent me on a wild goose chase. Notice I didn't use your name this time. I'll
I
give
was
you
getting a
your.
complex. I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
So,
I'll give the quote from Shakespeare, from Romeo and Juliet. Nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done. For thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am sure I have in my whole five.
well, you can explain all
No,
that.
I think I'm done with it. There's just too many things to explain. But it was used by Shakespeare. It's a hunting reference, isn't it? A goose is like a bird that you eat and flies. Plural, it's geese, and they'll go hunting. They're in the wild.
So it's hunting reference, as you say. I mean, there's a thou and thy and hast. We don't use those anymore, do we really? I suppose they substituted other words. It's like hast is like have.
That's right. Has was actually the S form we use. Speaks, talks. It was actually a dialect form from the north of England. The hath, doth. That's how it would be said by most people. Up until about Shakespeare's time. And Shakespeare used both forms. He used the third person singular S and he used the TH. But I think more commonly he would use the TH. So say hath rather than has. That was more common.
Okay, that's curious.
I think he used both.
If there are English words there, people don't quite understand that. Hopefully, that gives you a small insight.
Well, exactly. If you see words ending in TH, not all of them, of course, but I mean, doth, speaketh, and other ones like that, when you know the verb, but then it ends in TH, then it could be just an old form, which is now an S.
Gideon, you are a green-eyed monster because you want a pair of box shorts like my Hello Kitty ones.
I love this expression. I use it a lot. The green-eyed monster, which is just another word for jealousy. And it's from Othello. I remember I've read Othello. I've seen Othello. I know the play quite well. Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It's the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on. Once again, you've got doth instead of does, we were just talking about. Because in Shakespeare's day, they often gave colors to emotions, and jealousy was green.
Because green is often thought about to be sick, isn't it? Or unwell. Like you're kind of sick with jealousy. Is that right?
But you still say green of envy, don't you?
But it is considered something that's sick, isn't it? Or unwell.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a connection with this, but yeah.
According to this, there
another
is.
use. Oh, there is. Okay. There is a mistake on this website we're looking at because they say green eyes monster. That's not correct. It's a green-eyed monster. The quote is correct.
Yes, the quote is correct. So I'm going to lie low for a while after my incident in the street in London with my box shorts because I don't want to go out and I feel embarrassed and proud at the same time. Lying low is keeping quiet, isn't it? And avoiding attention.
Exactly. I'm wanted by the police. I think I'll lie low for a while. There's a mafia contract out on me, so better lie low.
Otherwise, you could
get... exaggerating. I had an argument with this person. I'm going to lie low. Maybe she'll calm down.
Yeah, it's about avoiding, isn't it? Avoidance, trying to not be spotted, not be seen.
Exactly.
The quote is from Much Ado About Nothing. If he could right himself with quarrelling, some of us would lie low. Quarrelling is a word that we use nowadays. Probably is a bit more literary in the sense that it's kind of arguing, isn't it?
Yeah, the quarrel. Yeah, we still use it though.
We do. It's perhaps a bit more between a couple, isn't it, or something?
Maybe, yeah.
So I guess it's having an argument and then letting the dust settle. So lying low until things are okay again.
Well, I should just say at this point, being on your podcast is not for the faint-hearted.
It's true.
I often use the negative, I think, this one. They don't say this in the website we're looking at, but I think the idiom we usually say, do you agree with this, John, is you say something is not for the faint-hearted. I mean, it's not for the timid, not for the shy, where somebody requires a bit more bravery. You agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's about, isn't it, really? You could say this roller coaster ride is not for the faint-hearted. So if for any reason you feel a bit weak in some way.
Did you get that example straight off the website that we've been looking at?
No, Can you think of another one apart from my
Well,
podcast?
I already did. I said being on your podcast is not for
What?
the faint-hearted.
Well, can you explain why?
Well, I think I have to deal with you and
What's wrong with me?
killing me with kindness the whole time.
Do I?
I read from Henry VI, and not a player I know at all. Faint-hearted Woodville prizest him for me, arrogant Winchester, that haughty prelate, whom Henry, our late sovereign, ne'er could brook. Thou art no friend to God or to the king. I have no idea what he's talking about. Please, John, don't ask me to explain that one. I probably sit through and work it out, but I just don't feel like it. It's a headache now. It's not that important to know the context here. It's just, but
There are things that we could explain, but it'd take a while, wouldn't it? And it's probably not going to change much.
I think sometimes with quotes from Shakespeare, some of them really nice. It's beautiful language, it's great, and it fits in and goes, oh, yeah, that's so nice. And now I understand as well. But I think this one doesn't do anything for me anyway, this quote. So let's leave it. Leave it be.
You are the apple of my eye. I wouldn't say that to you, would I? Saying somebody's the apple of your eye is more to do with a daughter or a son, isn't it?
To the person you most love or most cherish, you say the person's the apple of my eye. Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I know a little bit about idioms. This is not from Shakespeare. It predates Shakespeare. I may have used it, but it's not Shakespeare. He didn't invent this one.
He didn't?
No.
Why is it here then?
It predates Shakespeare. He may have used it.
So he's just stealing it, you mean? He didn't invent this one?
Not just stealing, it's just using a phrase that was already in existence. And it's also used in the King James Bible. And it actually was used in Old English. It's very old, the apple of my eye. It goes back to more than 1,000 years. Why do we say apple of my eye? What's an apple got to do with it? Do you know?
I don't know. Is it to do with Adam and Eve in some way?
Yes and no, but that's another story. Because firstly, apple in the old days meant any type of fruit. So the Garden of Eden, we say, oh, Eve has taken an apple. Apple meant fruit. That was the word in Middle Age. So it could be anything. It could have been a banana. Probably not a banana, but it could have been. But that's another story. Apple is the pupil of your eye. In Old English, apple meant two things. It meant an apple or a fruit, a roundish fruit, or it meant the pupil of your eye. So when you're looking at somebody, you can see their reflection. And you see that's fine. You should write to this website where we've stolen their information, but it's actually incorrect because it's not from Shakespeare. He did use it.
He did use it. Yeah, that's why you're here, because you've got some insights. So that's good.
Okay, I'll read the quote. Flower this purple dye, hit with Cupid's archery, sink in apple of his eye. But not Shakespeare. He didn't write that one. That's from Midnight Summer's Night's Dream, but there are many other examples of that expression going back, say, 1,000 years.
So Cupid's archery, so obviously Cupid with his arrow that are going to strike you with love.
Yes.
Let's look at the last one. I think, again, we've used this once before in another episode. So wear your heart on your sleeve, or wear my heart on my sleeve.
John, I can't do this anymore. I can't do the podcast. It's just upsetting me so much. You're a lovely person. You're wonderful, but I can't do it anymore.
You can go now. It's fine.
Well, yeah. But I was just trying to demonstrate an example of where your heart and your sleeve, somebody who's always showing their feelings at every moment. They don't keep their feelings inside, whatever the situation.
That's interesting. Does that mean that this is the first time you've expressed your feelings on the show, but always you're distressed and upset when you do the episodes?
Well, it's not for the faint-hearted.
Fair enough.
Read the quote. It's from Othello again.
Yes.
But I will wear my heart upon my sleeve for doors to peck at. I am not what I am. Daw, D-A-W, is a bird, isn't it?
It must be, yes, because pecking is what birds do, isn't it? Tap their beak on a tree, they're pecking at it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Still use that word, isn't it? Not about hiding your feelings. You tell your feelings to other people. It's well known to others.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
Are you allowed to tell people of your upcoming potential video?
Verily, I am. Well, yes and no. I have been doing some research on Shakespeare, and I'm not going to say much more, but do stay tuned to my YouTube channel, Let Me Talk TV, and we're going to do something on Shakespeare. So, yeah, can't tell you any more. I can't tell you the title.
It might be out by the time you've listened to this.
No.
So depending on how long it's going to take.
Strange it may seem, I do a lot of research on these
You,
things, reading Shakespeare and some biographies of Shakespeare. So
well, I think it's wonderful the level of research that you do, and I think that makes it really interesting for everybody.
thank
And
you. Especially with Shakespeare, because to be honest, I mean, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos about Shakespeare. So if you want to stand out, you really need to do some research. That's all I'm saying. I think some of them, not being cruel, not all of them, but some of them, they've never read a single word of Shakespeare, but not in all cases.
anytime I think people watch your videos, they are well thought out, they are well researched. I can vouch for you.
Thank you.
I phone you about 5 times a day, and most of the time you're like, "Go away! I'm researching this." And
That's why I knew about Apple of My Eye, because I was doing some, actually not on Shakespeare, on something else. And I discovered that idiom, which is so old, on Anglo-Saxon. So I think we have a video on idioms from the medieval period.
it's all good stuff, and I enjoy it a lot. I sit there with some popcorn sometimes and just go through your videos.
You could have said with bated breath. That's another Shakespeare one. Go into that another time.
We'll go to that another time, indeed. People can write in and tell us what that means.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me, Gideon.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to English with Monty. Thanks for listening to English with Monty. For bonus episodes, sessions with the teacher, and discounts through our website, please sign up at patreon.com/English with Monty. Or you can join us for our English conversation group in London at meetup.com/Monty-English-conversation.